All right, Heidi, we are live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So thank you very much for joining us and making the presentation today. It's so wonderful to have you today. And thank you very much for being our guest speaker. So I think people started to join our session. Good evening, dear friends. Bishkek AC is welcoming you. Thank you very much for joining our live session. Since we celebrate Women's History Month in March, so our today's session will be dedicated to this particular topic. And we invited a special guest speaker today. So please welcome her, Heidi Demello. So she is a former English language fellow in Osh, Kyrgyzstan from 2018 to 20, and a current English language specialist in Kazakhstan. And today she will make a presentation about the ones who paved the way, great women of the past and present. So you will learn about an outstanding woman and their impact to world history. And it's going to be very interesting and exciting session and very interactive. So please stay active and engaged. And also just wanted to remind you, you are always welcome to ask your questions and leave your comments in the comment section. So I think that's all from my side, and just would like to give a virtual flow to Heidi.
Thank you so much, Aida. I'm so honored to be here today. Wow. It's been almost a year. I cannot believe it's been almost a year since I left Kyrgyzstan. And I miss everybody so much in Kyrgyzstan and everybody that I collaborated with and all of the wonderful women that I collaborated with actually in Kyrgyzstan. And so thank you. It's a big honor. We've been trying to do this for a little while, right? So thank you. Finally, we're able to coordinate for me to participate today. And I also want to congratulate you. I admire you so much for how active you've been with these. It's really kept me feeling less isolated during this pandemic, and it's a bridge between me and everyone over there in Kyrgyzstan. And so thank you so much for being with us online during the pandemic.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah. So we have quite a presentation. Shall we get started with it here? Okay.
Sure, Heidi.
All right. All right. Can you see my my screen
Yes.
here? The ones who paved the way, great women of the past and present. Excellent. Okay. So first, I want to give a great shout out to the Bishkek AC. This is me collaborating with a bunch of wonderful Kyrgyz women. I think there are a couple of men back there too. But these are all access teachers and access trainers. And Bishkek AC provided the space for us to do trainings together. And they're so inspiring. All of these Kyrgyz women I was able to work with. I was also an English language fellow at Osh State University. And some of the Kyrgyz women that inspire me the most to be the best I can be are the wonderful young students that I had there who are our future Kyrgyz leaders, right? And so I loved working with Kyrgyz women in the university. And they, yeah, as I said, they really inspired me and motivated me. So if you're watching, anybody, thank you for being my student. This was an academic writing class, and a lot of our academic writing topics were related to being a woman in today's society. So it was interesting, an interesting, fun class. So let me ask the viewers, Do you know the idiom pave the way for someone or something? Do the viewers know? So Aida, if anybody adds anything into the chat box, please let me
Yes.
know. But
Okay.
I can also ask you, Aida, what do you understand from this expression, pave the way?
Oh, I think it's like the certain period of time from the past to present, kind of.
It's definitely, you're definitely there, yeah. So pave the way, so you know when we are putting pavement on a road, right? The road without pavement is very rocky. And then when we add pavement, it makes the road smoother, right, to travel on. And so, think about Bishkek when there are certain roads that are being paved. What do you say, right? Aida, you say, oh no, avoid that part of town. They're paving the roads. Traffic is slow. Take another street, right? Take Panfilova instead of, whatever it is, let's avoid the road that's being paved. Well, many women have made my life have paved. I should say paved the road for me. As a woman, they fought for rights that I am enjoying now as a woman uh, in my life. So just a quick look at the definitions. I might have some English students out there. I don't know. Okay, so
Heidi,
yeah.
sorry, we received two comments from our
Oh, great.
viewers.
Okay.
Yes, from Norisa. Make it easier for like something to happen or someone to do something. And the second comment is pay way to inspire someone.
Beautiful definitions. Thank you so much, Nariza. And who was the other person? Was it
Zebonisa. Zebonisa.
wonderful?
Yeah, she's from Tajikistan. Mm.
Wonderful. We have Kyrgyz women, we have Tajik women. I love it. Okay. So from Oxford Learner's Dictionary, right? And I think I like Nariza's definition even better. But pave the way for somebody or something, right? Is to create a situation in which somebody will be able to do something. So we can think of, able to do something easier in the future, right? So an example here is the decision paved the way for changes in employment rights for women. So that's one example. So thank you for your definitions. Okay, so who were the women that paved the way for you and so many other people around the world and in your country and in Kyrgyzstan? And who were some of the Kyrgyzstani women? So we're going to do a word cloud together. All right. And here are some instructions on how to do it. So you can either use your phone or open up another web browser window, and you will go to polev.com. And then in the little box, okay, where it asks you to write something, you're going to just type in Heidi Demello 022. So make sure you have an O and then a 0. Okay, Heidi Demello 022. And then click join and you are in. And you can answer as many times as you like. You can enter as many women's names as you like. Okay, so we can actually visualize this together. And let's see if it works. Okay, it might take a moment. Michelle Obama, nice. She's a great one. Who else? So you can enter as many women's names as you like, women who you admire, who paved the way for Kurman, of course, Kurman Jandatka, very iconic woman in Kyrgyzstan. Love it. Ah, Rosa Otumbaeva. Nice. Yes, absolutely. She was a strong leader, or she is a strong leader. Yeah. Maybe we'll give it a couple more. Oops. Okay, so we have a few here. I'm not sure if I don't know if the viewers are able to use this app, hopefully. Kamala Harris, yeah, she's great. Our new vice president of the United States. I love it. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, mom, yes. We've got to have mom in there. Absolutely. She has the most important job. Yes. Wonderful. I love it. So you guys can keep, through the presentation, feel free to keep adding to this amazing word cloud. And then I will send it later to Aida so that she can share it with everybody. Aida, if that's okay with you.
Sure, Heidi.
Thanks, everyone. Okay. Let's now go to a little quiz. Okay, so I'm continuing with the interactivity here. Okay, so the next slide here. Now I'm going to show you a picture, and I would like you to write the name of the woman in the chat box, and then Aida can help me, and we can figure out who the winner is. Who writes the most names the fastest in the chat box will be the winner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a prize, but we will give you an applause if you get it.
Heidi,
Yeah.
Bishkek AC can provide a prize, a gift for a winner.
Yay! That's so cool. Okay, I love it. So remember that, guys. Okay, Aida says that the Bishkek American Center can provide a prize. So are you ready? Okay, first one. So let's do this one first. Ah, who's the first? Anyone?
Not yet.
Not yet. So
Not yet.
write
People are
her name in the
typing.
chat.
Oh, yes, Vanessa. She said Michelle Obama. Yes.
Nice. Yay. Okay, let's see how many points you all will get. Okay, next one. Ready? Should be fast. So this was before the internet days and digital photography. We didn't have many photos of Kurmanjandatka that survived, right? I think there are only just a few as far as I could find. I said her name. Oops.
Heidi.
Oops. My bad. So who was the first to type her name in the chat?
Not
We'll
yet.
give a point
Not
to
yet.
it. Not
People
yet.
still yeah, sending. Oh, yes. We received from Anara.
Okay.
From Anara Tajibaeva, Kurmanjan.com. She was first.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Next one. Okay. That's a tough one, maybe. Does anybody know who she is? We will talk about some of these. We will talk about some of these women later in the slides.
Yes. Let's wait.
She's one of my favorites, actually.
Mhm.
So while we're waiting, Aida, do you know anything about Michelle Obama? Or what do you
Oh,
know about Michelle?
she is very inspiring person. She is a writer. She is supporter. She is a great woman leader. I think we know her as the first lady. I mean, ex first lady of the United States.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we received the answer. Ruth
Oh,
Bader. Yes, the Vanessa.
wow.
Yes. Oh,
Vanessa also amazing. Yeah. Wonderful. Yes, that is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a justice on the Supreme Court. Um, Michelle Obama was amazing because she really supported, especially Black youth in receiving education, especially in inner city impoverished areas. For example, of Chicago, she would visit public schools and inspire the youth to study because she also grew up in a part of Chicago that was very challenging, and she changed her life through education. Her parents were both working class people, and she was able to work for a very prestigious law firm, and then later she met former President Obama, and then she ended up creating foundations and nonprofit organizations to empower young women as leaders. And so she was amazing. Yeah. Have you read her book, Becoming, Aida? She wrote a great book, her biography.
not yet. I think we have your book in Bishkek, maybe not. I have to check. I didn't read your book yet,
Yeah,
but
she
I definitely do.
yeah, this was one of the silver linings of the pandemic is I've been able to read, and but actually I think I listened to her audiobook Becoming, and it was really interesting to hear her life story, and so I recommend it. All right, let's see. So far, Vanessa's in the lead, right, Aida? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, next one. Uh, who are these women?
I know them.
Do you know them in person? Like, have you met them in person?
Yes,
You're so lucky, Aida.
I think so. Yes.
They're amazing. Yeah. Does anybody recognize who this group of women
Not
uh,
yet.
are
No.
here? No. Okay, I'll do the next one, then I'll go back to it. This is
Mhm.
the final one here.
Oh, I know her also. Unfortunately, didn't met her personally.
That would be fun. So, did anybody get either of these in the chat box, Aida?
No.
No.
Yes. No. Oh, yes. We received Lady Gaga from
Yeah.
Nazima.
From who? Nadzima?
Nazima. Uh-huh.
Nazima. Okay. Um, so these women here are the Kyrgyz women who have created their own space agency, right?
Mhm.
In
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan, and they are creating a satellite, the first ever from Kyrgyzstan, which I think is so amazing. Uh, I could never do that because I love math, but I am not good at it. And it requires a kind of mathematical mind, I think, and creativity and critical thinking. So they are amazing women. Um, I don't know all of their names though, Aida. Do you know all of their names?
Oh no, I know
I
them
wish,
as like satellite girls.
yeah,
Yes, we call them. Yes,
right.
amazing, amazing
The
girls.
satellite girl. Yeah, there's some great documentaries you can watch on YouTube and other places about the work they're doing in Kyrgyzstan. It's really incredible. Does anybody, you know, where when Lady Gaga dressed like this, is this outfit with her?
Uh, it was in inauguration of Joe Biden, I guess.
Oh, you're good. Wow, yes, absolutely. So this is during President Joe Biden's inauguration, and I was showing this to some teachers in Kazakhstan the other day. They said she looks like a Ukrainian diplomat. I thought that was interesting that I think because of the hair, but you know, this inviting her to his inauguration was really sent out, I feel like, a message of diversity and human rights, because she has been a great spokeswoman for the rights of many people, and including LGBTQ and women's rights. And so it was great that she was there. And of course, her singing and her voice was just beautiful. So it was great that she was there, as well as other. I think Christina Schumacher talked the other day about the poet who
Mhm.
presented at Biden's inauguration to young black poet who she's amazing as well. So I think, who was our winner, Aida, on the quiz?
Oh,
Or
that's
is it neck
difficult
and neck?
fight. We
50.
have Zebanisa, but she's from Tajikistan. How we can
Oh.
give her gifts. And uh, Anara, she was also very active.
Okay. So ladies, contact Aida
Yes,
later for
contact.
your prizes. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Thank,
you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
playing, everybody. Um, okay, so first I want to talk about the women in my family who paved the way for me. Um, so this is my great grandmother, Ida Oaks. Can you see her sitting on a tree here?
Yes,
Maybe, hello. Yeah, you guys can hear me, right?
yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
Okay, and this in the back, this is so this was my grandfather's mother. She was originally from Scotland, and my grandfather's father, he was from Norway, and he went over to America on a ship as a teenager, and he met Ida. And so imagine this, right? In around the turn of the before the turn of the century, um, President Abraham Lincoln, right, in 1862, he signed what was called the Homestead Act. And this was to encourage people to go and move from the East Coast of the United States to the West Coast to settle the land. And he provided settlers with 160 acres of public land. And so you can imagine what a difficult life she had. There was nothing there, right? But trees and hills, and so she crossed the country in a horse cart with her family. And actually, before she met my great grandfather, her parents died of a kind of illness, and she was working at 10 years old as a cook to feed her siblings and brothers and sisters. So can you imagine, when she was a 10-year-old girl, she was working as a cook to support her family because her parents had died. And so I think of how strong my great grandmother was. And then she had to build a home. She had to, she had to sew clothing for the children. She had to, and for both her and her husband, she had to survive winter, find food for winter. And so to her, surviving that difficult situation, then later came my other family members. And so I can only imagine the difficulties, right, that she encountered at that time. So she was very strong. And then my grandmother, Jerry Dexter, who passed away in 2011, she was the wife of an apple farmer. And I think of women maybe in the Nolkot region, right, where they have a lot of apple farms and apple orchards, right, in the south of Kyrgyzstan, Jalalabad, and she was a very altruistic person. Anybody who needed her help, she would help them. And she also always believed that everybody should be treated with respect, regardless of their social status. So she worked with a lot of immigrant, apple pickers and apple laborers. And she was really a friend to so many of them. And so my mother and I and other people in my family learned this from her, that all people should be treated with the same respect. So we miss her, right? And then my mom, here's my mom. And so my mother, Anine Utegard, she was the first woman in her family to attend university. So she was able to first get her bachelor's degree in arts and then her master's degree in psychology. And she is now a marriage family psychotherapist and one of the founders of the International Expressive Arts Therapy Association. And she'd also just survived breast cancer. And, she had a very difficult life as well. She worked her way through university. She came from a rural village, really a small village, and she went to the city and received education. And so I'm so proud of who she has become. And so she paved the way for me and my family members as well. Let's talk about women explorers and travelers. So one of my favorites is Isabel Eberhardt. Aida, have you heard of Isabel Eberhardt?
Yes, I heard about her.
She is amazing. She was a Swiss explorer and author, and her father was Russian. Her mother was German. She spoke a bunch of languages, including Arabic, French, I think German, I believe Russian. She spoke many languages. She was an author, and one of the way I found out about her is because my stepfather, he would give me her books when I was a teenager to encourage me to travel. And I saw that you had a series on fathers supporting daughters the other day on the webinar. And I think, this was one way that my stepfather, he encouraged me to explore the world by giving me her books. So Isabel Eberhardt, oftentimes she would travel alone. Sometimes she had to dress like a man to be able to travel in certain areas where women would not be really accepted. I know that she also converted to Islam, but she ended up dying in Algeria during a flood. But her journals are so inspiring to me. So I encourage you to read them if you have the chance. She had a very interesting sort of traveling bohemian lifestyle. Okay, then we have the women who defended gender equality and human rights. So the first one, someone may have talked about her during Black History Month, but Sojourner Truth was an abolitionist, and she was also a women's rights activist. So she was born into slavery and was able to escape with her baby daughter and escape to freedom in 1826. But she was very, very well known for her Ain't I a Woman speech on racial inequalities at the Ohio Women's Rights Convention. And so imagine at that time what it meant to be an activist, right, for women and for Black women in particular. Um, uh, she was very courageous and for what she did.
Heidi,
Yeah,
sorry. What
yeah.
does mean abolitionist? Abolition.
Ah, thank you so much for asking that. That is a good question. So an abolitionist these were people who were fighting to end slavery in America.
Mm,
Okay, so there were a lot of abolitionists. There were black people who were abolitionists. There were white people who were abolitionists. There were many people fighting and working together to try to end slavery. And so um, she shared her personal story of being born into slavery. And so, yeah, she was a prominent abolitionist. Thank you for asking.
thank you, Heidi.
Mhm. Okay. Then we had the suffragists. The suffragists were women activists who were fighting for the right for women to vote. We had suffragists in the United States. There were suffragists in Canada, in Australia, England. There were suffragists in many, many countries. But in the American context, last year, 2020, actually marked the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution that gave the women the right to vote. Yes, we can. So, thanks to the suffragists, we are now able to vote. Right? Some of them were tortured. Some of them would take food fasts. I mean, they would go on hunger strikes, and they would arrest them and they would force feed them with tubes. I mean, they went through harrowing scenes and torture, and were arrested, were mistreated, but finally they won the right to vote for women. So you can watch documentaries about them on YouTube, um, on different websites, but they were extremely strong women, and they gave us a voice. So I'm very grateful for them as well. Okay. So also in the civil rights arena, you had Rosa Parks, and I think people may have presented about her during Black History Month. Rosa Parks, she was one of the most important iconic figures in the civil rights movement because everybody remembers her story, right? That on in December of 1955, she was on a bus. She had worked so hard all day long. She was exhausted. She was sitting, okay, on the bus, and a white man told her she had to get up out of her bus seat so that he could sit down. And she just didn't, she saw that this is just not right. And she refused to give up her seat on what they called back then the colored section of the bus, which is how things were still being segregated and separated back then, right? And so she was charged with civil disobedience. She was arrested. But then activists came in and supported her, and then they created a movement around it. So she is known as the mother of the freedom movement, right? So thanks to her, the sort of segregation nonsense was ended. And and she gained a lot of ground, okay, for the civil rights movement. So I really admire what she did as a woman. All right, moving into science. You might have heard, Aida, of Katherine Johnson, or the viewers might have heard of Katherine Johnson.
Yes, I think
Mm-hmm.
she was one of the heroes of Hidden Figures movie.
Yes. I'm glad that you've seen that. That's great. Yes, absolutely. So she was a NASA mathematician, and she was one of the first Black women to work as a NASA scientist. And thanks to her mathematical calculations, they were able to launch some of that spacecraft up into into space for exploration. But I really like this quote of hers, and she says, you know, girls are capable of doing everything men are capable of doing. Sometimes they have more imagination than men. I would, I don't know about this word sometimes. I think they often have more imagination. I just think that this is a great quote of hers. And this is a picture of her doing some kind of, imagine back then it was all manual, right? All of the mathematical calculations, you know, were manual. I mean, they may have had some, you know, of course, some primitive computers at that time, but it's just amazing to me that she was able to do that. For women's education, we have our wonderful Malala. I love Malala. Malala is a woman I always teach about in my classes. And as you probably know, she is, sorry, a Pakistani activist for women's education. When she was very, very young, she was targeted, shot because of her activism, but she survived and came back. She had to live for a time I believe, in Birmingham. She was treated at a hospital in Birmingham, but she continued. She started a nonprofit organization there, and she continued her activism for girls' education in Pakistan to help the women in her local community as well. And in 2014, she was the co-recipient of the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize, and she was only 17 years old at the time. And this is the kind of woman that makes me think, oh my gosh, what have I done in my years of life? When you see how much she accomplished, the changes that she effected with her activism, it's just incredible. And of course, she wrote the book, I Am Malala. So I recommend that. I'm sure the Bishkek AC has a copy of her book. But she's such an inspiring person, young woman. I think now she's just in her 20s, but she continues to speak out for women's education. All right, let's go to sport, shall we? Aida, have you ever practiced sports? Do you like any sports or?
Uh-huh. I love walking away.
Bishkek is a great little town, a city to walk in. You know,
Yeah.
Erkindik Boulevard. It's wonderful to walk along. Where do you walk when you like to walk in Bishkek?
In Erkindik Boulevard because it's close to the library and the
Mm-hmm.
nice park. I mean, the fresh air, the trees, the amazing
Yeah,
atmosphere to walk.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, uh, there's lots of amazing hiking in Kyrgyzstan, right in the mountains. I think
Yes.
you're blessed with so many majestic sceneries that you know, people from around the world, including women from around the world, you know, go to Kyrgyzstan for hiking, and I see huge potential, I think, also for rock climbing, for things like that, for rappelling and other kind of extreme sports in the mountains in Kyrgyzstan in the future. Um, For me, I've done a lot of bicycle tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I traveled by bicycle from the United States to Brazil when I was in my 20s. It took me over a year and a half to travel by bicycle by land.
Wow.
Yeah. And I also have practiced martial arts. So I've always tried to do
Mm-hmm.
some sports. Um, and and or walking or yoga. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's some incredible. I mean, this presentation was so hard, Aida, because I can think of so many incredible women from so many areas. But here are a couple of women that inspire me in sports. So one of them, right, is Aisulu Tunubekova. Everybody knows her.
I think so. Yeah, she is very famous. She is famous here.
And what other sports women or women athletes can you think of when you think of Kyrgyzstani women in sports?
Uh, I saw Aidana Otarbaeva. She is young. How to say football girl? It's correct to
Ah,
say. Yes, I really admire her. She is not only a sport girl, but she is very active. I mean, she's activist.
oh, that's wonderful. So what's her last name? I'm actually writing a note. Aidana
Aidana Otarbaeva.
Oturbaeva. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Yeah, there's been some great women in football recently. You might know Rapinoe from the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, the American football player. She was fighting for the same salary as male football players. She was trying to get the same salary for female football players. So I think it's great when these women use their fame and sort of celebrity status to fight for rights. Definitely, I love that. I guess Aislu Tunubekova won the gold medal in 2019 at the World Wrestling Championships in Nur Sultan. So that's amazing. But she's won many medals over the years. This is just one example, a recent example. Okay, the next woman in sports that I want to talk about is Maya Gabera. Maya, because I am coming to you from Brazil, I thought I would share a Brazilian woman here. So Maya Gabera is a Brazilian, what they call a big wave surfer. So she basically surfs ocean waves that are the sizes of mountains. They're huge. And in 2020, there was kind of a discussion or a debate about whether she had surfed the biggest wave of any surfer in the world. It turns out one man surfed a wave that was uh, one more meter higher than her in some past year. But for 2020, she surfed the highest wave in the world for women, and the wave was 22.4 meters high. So that made it the highest wave of any person in 2020. And the ESPN awarded her for Best Female Action Sports Athlete in 2009. And she's so humble, when they interview her about her surfing, she goes, oh, no big deal. I'm just doing what I love. And I think, wow, you have to be so brave, right? To confront a huge wave. So I want to show you a video of that. And let's see, let me know if you can see it there. And see, one moment, let me just, sorry. Okay, let me just put this into full screen. So this is her. She has when they surf big waves, they wear a kind of helmet. So it's hard to recognize her, but to protect their heads, they wear they wear a helmet, because if the wave hits you on the head, you can die. So this is her dropping the biggest wave in 2020. Wow.
And that wave was quite special, although it was terrifying as well. It's a proof to myself that I still love the sport so much, even after so many hard times and hard years and serious injuries and traumas. I'm just the result of so many things behind the scenes, from people that inspire me to people that protect me to people that drive me.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so got some French fries in the photo. So Aida, what did you think? That was a pretty huge wave, huh?
Yes, she made a record.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Were you able to hear what she said? I forgot to check the audio.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I was able
perfect.
to hear. Yes. I hope
So
everyone did it.
yeah, so there are some pretty incredible and incredibly brave women in sports for sure. So next, I want to talk about the field of law and advocacy, and this is the next person I want to talk about. And so we like to call her RBG for short, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away recently in 2020, and people lined up in front of the Capitol building in tears when she passed, because she was such an important person for our country in the United States and for women's rights. So she was an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, and she was appointed originally by former President Bill Clinton in 1993. So she served, for many, many years on the Supreme Court. As you know, it's a lifetime position. And she fought for many things, and she dissented on many important issues too, which means that she went against or disagreed on some issues. So she was a strong dissenter when she didn't agree with something. But some of her important cases dealt with ensuring that women got equal pay and the same salary as men. Before she was a justice, she was very active in the ACLU, and she was very active with gender discrimination cases. She also fought for the rights for the mentally ill, to include them in disability policies. She also made an important decision on a case involving women in the military. In Virginia, some women wanted to join the military, and they prohibited them from joining, and then she passed a court case that allowed them to join the military as well. And she also supported legislation that helped immigrants in the United States. So that is just a lot of amazing stuff. And then when I thought that she couldn't be even more amazing, I found out, Aida, that she did 20 push-ups a day, even at the age of 83. Wow. She was still doing 20 push-ups a day with her personal trainer. And outside of her family, her personal trainer was the most important person to her. Bryant Johnson was his name. And she is quoted as saying, they say, "How do you do it? How do you do it? Push-ups at 83. She says, "I do 10, I stop, I take a breath, and then I do 10 more. So I just think it's amazing that she was still motivated to improve herself. She had a life purpose, and not only in the area of law and equal rights, but for her own personal growth and development. And I wanted to share a touching video that every time I see it, it makes me cry. I'll try not to cry. But this is her personal trainer when she was laid in state at the Capitol building, her casket when she passed away. Her personal trainer did something very special in honor of her because they had a very close relationship. He motivated her. So here's the video, and I think it's better if I, one moment. Okay. Can you see that, Aida, the video?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. Okay. So you'll see her personal trainer it should be, I think it's on your left of your screen, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay. So that video.
It's no secret. Everybody
Oh,
knows.
sorry.
I'm a huge fan of
Sorry,
Supreme Court Justice.
Sorry about that. Technical issues. So every time I watch that video, I just feel so emotional, Aida, because she was just such an honorable person and woman and fighter. And she was a small woman, but she was powerful. So I really have so much admiration, for her. Okay. All right, Aida, are you hearing me okay still?
Yes.
Checking. Sorry. Okay. All right. No, you're listening so attentively. Thank you. We're winding down. We only just have a couple more slides here, but I just wanted to mention also that in 2019 we had a groundbreaking election of a wonderful diversity of new women to our United States Congress. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was elected, and she was the youngest woman ever elected to Congress. She's from Brooklyn, New York. She's very proud of her background. She talks about how she was a working class person, was a waitress, and she fought her way up through education, and she kind of represents the Latinas in our country. And she often receives criticism or discrimination from other men, other politicians. And she's a very strong person. She advocates for herself and other women and stands up to them. And she's just so amazingly intelligent and incredible. And also we had Rashida and Ilhan, right? Ilhan Omar. They were the first Muslim women elected to Congress. So it's so exciting that they're there. And also Sharisa and Deb are the first Native American women to be elected to Congress. So that was 2019 was a big year, and I think this is going to affect so many changes. They will be the change makers as we move forward in our country. So exciting that they're there in Congress, fighting for our rights and for many types of people's rights, right? So I just want to say thank you and a happy International Women's Month on all that. For all of you incredible women and men out there who are so supportive of women. And yeah, I think that's a preference from the Library of Congress. But if there are any questions, I think we still have a few more minutes, right, Aida, before we... Okay, I think I'm going to stop sharing here.
Thank you very much, Heidi, for this amazing presentation. It was really great to learn more about this inspiring woman. They are really, really amazing.
Oops, absolutely. Are you seeing? Oh, I cannot see you. Sorry. Trying to get back to you. I'm trying to get back to you guys. Oops. There you are. I'm getting used to, I'm learning something new today with this great platform that you use at the Bishkek American Corner. So, yes, now I can see both of us again.
Thank you, Heidi. Just let me start with the comments. Good evening, Heidi from Kyrgyzstan.
Ainura. Hi, Ainura. How are you?
And
Aigerim. Hi, Aigerim.
Thank you, Heidi, for this wonderful presentation. You made such an incredible presentation and insightful into a successful woman with different backgrounds.
Thank you, Aigerim. Thank you so much. I miss you all. Oh.
Glad to see you, Heidi.
So Mirgul Izakova is one of the most inspiring sisters I have in Kyrgyzstan. She was my counterpart when I was an English language fellow, and I learned so much with you, Mirgul. So sending kisses.
Thank you.
Thank you. So glad she's watching.
Thank you, Heidi. What does make strong woman according to analyze?
Thank you, Heidi. What makes a strong woman according to analysis? I'm not sure if she. Okay, that's a. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. Mukadas is so. Well, Mukadas. Okay, Tashieva is the president of the KGT Seoul Teachers Association. And if you want to talk about women who are change makers, Mukadas is an incredible leader for English teachers, and especially female English teachers in Kyrgyzstan. She, I admire her so much, and she, I don't know how Mukadas does it. She does so many things all at the same time. So Mukadas, yes, we can. You're an inspiration for all of us. And I'm going to give everybody, also, all the women all over, big applause, right? But I love that everybody's watching. That's great. I miss them all so much in Osh. Mukadas is based in Osh. So
thank you, Heidi. I was late. With any information about Rosa Parks, her contribution to the human rights policy is great. Yes. Heidi already covered.
We covered her. We couldn't leave her out of the presentation. Rosa Parks is so iconic. And I know that Mirgul Izakova went to the TESOL conference, I believe, in Atlanta. She may have actually studied about these civil rights activists when she was there. So that's great, yeah. But I think, going back, Mukadas says, what makes, Gubarchin. Hi, Gubarchin. Great to see you. These are all of
Yeah.
my colleagues in OSH. I love it. To your research,
Yes.
to your research analysis during your
In your
preparation for
preparation.
this presentation. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do deep research. Of course, I wasn't doing a research paper or anything. I mean, it could be a future, idea. But what I see that makes a strong woman across all of these examples Mukadas asked is resiliency. And I think Christina Schumacher also mentioned this word, right? And I'm going to just put it in the chat box. And you know that, again, we're all being so resilient in these times during a global pandemic. It's just the ability to not to give up and keep believing that we can do it, even if there are obstacles in our way, and days we just want to throw everything up in the air and give up. Just hold, keep our eye on the prize in front of us and keep moving forward one step at a time through small actions. Sometimes we can't do huge things, but just taking small actions one day at a time, advocating for another woman, sometimes just advocating and helping another woman in some way, just by, defending someone, by being an example. All of these women who are sending, you also, Aida, are an incredible example. You're in the public sphere, working with the public as a woman every day, as an educator, and just being an example of a strong woman.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Heidi. We receive one more question from YouTube. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
So much. So much. When I was a child, my mother used to take me to protests for women's rights protests. They called the ERA. There was an organization called the ERA, and she would take me by the hand, and we would march down the streets in the United States for equal rights for women. And most of the important legislation for women happened during the month of March. And so that's why, they decided to make March the month for women's, for the for the Women's International Month. So International Women's Month, sorry. And so, like the right to vote, that passed in March. And of course, we know this is across the board, all over the world, it's the same month. I mean, it means a lot that we're being acknowledged for all of the things that we've had to overcome that that come with being a woman. Actually, there are certain, as you are a woman, I am a woman. There are certain things that only women have to worry about. When we walk down the street at night, do men worry about walking alone down the street at night? Things like this, little things that we have to think about and be aware of, and we have to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan Z in case something happens. And so we have to be critical thinkers and have our antennas always out and really be aware of what is happening around us. And that makes us very creative. We're trying to get through the glass ceiling. Do you know what I mean by glass ceiling, right? Where we see the promotion but above in our company, but we can't get there because men are in control still, right? And so we're starting to chip away at the glass ceiling. We're getting up there, we see that with our strong leaders, with Also, Jill Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, who is an educator, and she keeps teaching, even though she's the First Lady. Kamala Harris, Vice President. Okay, we have, great female leaders around the world now, and so little by little, we're paving the way for future generations of women. Yeah. So it means a lot to me.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for sharing. One more question. What progress have you seen on gender equality issues these days?
So I definitely think that we can talk about things like what sorts of positions women at jobs women are able to be hired for. You see women in higher positions, at universities as well. If you look at academia, you still see that the majority of rectors at universities are men, right? But that's starting to change. The pay, depending on where you are in the world, is getting a little bit better, depending on which country, which context, which cultural context. We know that like gender can be very much a social construct, right? And depending, I definitely think that women have more of a voice than in the past. We feel more empowered. But we still have a long way to go.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Heidi. Let me show a couple comments. We miss you too, Heidi. Yes, I was in Atlanta. Thank you, Heidi. I agree with you. Muqaddasa is a strong leader. And one kind of request from Mirgulece. Will you please show the poll results?
So Mirgul, I will send you the poll. Actually, or do you want to?
Sorry, Heidi. I already shared the link in the comments. Yes.
Yeah. So everybody, those of you who were who were joining late, you can actually go into the chat, copy that poll link, and then please add, okay? Because let's see how many by the end of the week. Let's see how beautiful our women's word cloud can be, and then we can so add as many names as you'd like to the word cloud, and we'll just make it massive with women who we admire, and then we can send it to Aida, and she can share it later. So
Heidi, it's going to be like words map. It's going to be words map.
Yeah, basically it's kind of like a some people call it like a word cloud. Some people call it like a mind map kind of thing, or a word map. Yeah. So it's just we're just adding. I mean, I don't know. Let me just check over here if people have. I see some people have added a couple of things. Valentina. People added Islu. People added somebody said sister, my sister. We love our sisters. Yeah. We fight with them sometimes. For borrowing our clothes, but we love them.
Yes, it's always siblings relationship.
Yeah. But I would just, as women, again, I would just encourage each other to support each other and to uplift each other. because sometimes some of the gender discrimination actually comes from other women, that we stay in an old mindset, and we keep other women back. So again, as women, we also, and not just men are not the only ones responsible for supporting, right? But it's primarily and especially women need to support each other. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Heidi,
Yeah.
for this amazing session. I think we will receive, I think, more comments, more questions, more
Sure.
response, and I think people will watch it later. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
It was a really wonderful session.
Oh.
Yes, we had many viewers, many supports, many
Yay.
interactive, how to say, engagements. So thank you very much. Because of
Thank
you, we learned so many things about an
Wonderful.
outstanding woman. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Thank you
let's
again.
celebrate. Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead,
Yes, so
Heidi.
thank you again. Thank you again for really for having me today, Aida, and thank you also so much for the support from always from the Bishkek American Center, from the I should say from the U.S. Embassy and other people who have always supported me and supported me in my work in Kyrgyzstan as well. So and everyone in Osh and my colleagues there. And in the north of Kyrgyzstan and the south of Kyrgyzstan, you're all wonderful. So
Yes,
applause for all of you. Yeah.
yes, let's celebrate more women's achievements in this month, Women's History Month. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great
Absolutely.
evening. And Heidi, have a great day. So thank
You
you once
too.
again. So,
Paka
bye
paka.
bye.